All right. How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Corey Bosmer, host of Conversations with Corey podcast, and the person that runs the social media football page on Facebook and Twitter, known as Football for Kentucky DBA. Today's guest is University of Kentucky student athlete Carrington Valentine. How you doing today, Carrington?
I'm doing good. How you doing, man?
Doing good, doing good. Thank you for being a guest. What was your time like at Kentucky, and what led you to the decision to play for the University of Kentucky?
So the decision was I didn't want to go anywhere to a lot of teams when I was coming out of college were or coming out of high school was like, we just need somebody to play right away because we're kind of short on like corners and DBs and stuff like that. But, I've never been hitting anything. So I kind of wanted to, go somewhere where I can compete and like the room was like stacked and stuff like that. So I chose Kentucky because it had the NFL talent when I got there. So, I played with Kelvin Joseph and Brandon Eccles and Yusuf Corker. So when I came in there, I ended up playing as a freshman and then eventually starting as a freshman.
No, you definitely did. Who was the most impactful on you influentially on your playing days while you were at Kentucky? Like, what other student athlete teammate you have was more influential on you, or the most? Sorry,
I would say Yusuf Corker because he always did the right things. He brought me along. He knew the defense like in the back of his head, and he was one of the ones that even after like the coaches leave and stuff like that would sit there and help me learn the plays and stuff like that, just because he's been there, he's been a vet. So just even though he was a safety, he still helped me come along with the playbook and stuff like that. So I would feel like he was like one of like the big brothers. Like, all of them were really all big brothers, but he was the one that stuck out the most.
Right. Now, you did have a thing, I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but at least a year, if not 2 years left of eligibility.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
All right. What led you to the decision of declaring for the draft?
So I talked to family and I've talked to coaches, but really wanted me to come out was I felt like that I was ready to cover the best people in the world and, and even develop even more. I'm young, I'm 21. And I just feel like I was ready to develop even more to on that next level. And it's always been a dream of mine to play in the NFL. So, I got a lot of feedback and I felt like I was just ready.
More positive than not then, huh?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at some stuff I printed up about you. It says you were a 3-year letter winner and you played in 35 career games with 25 consecutive starting assignments at the defensive back, and you had a total of 119 career tackles. How does that make you feel being so young to be able to contribute that much?
Makes it, I'm a team player, so it makes me feel happy. I went out there and then I did what was asked of me, and took the coaching and then was, going out there and just competing and try to make plays for the team, and then trying to get his team wins. So I feel like I was happy with my overall time in Kentucky.
That's good to hear. Now I want to backtrack a little bit before we get back into Kentucky. What was your childhood like, man? And when did you first fall in love with football?
So I first fell in love with football like 7 years old. So I played running back. So it was really just pitch left, pitch right, and let me run. So that's when I first fell in love. When first time I touched the ball playing football when I was 7 and I scored, I was like, I'm pretty good at this. My mom and my dad used to take me to my games and stuff like that. They support me and they still support me to this day. So, that's when it first, was, my first, like when I touched the ball, really it was when I knew I was like, oh, I'm pretty good at this. So
yeah, definitely. Who was the most impactful on you while you played football growing up before you got into college?
I had a lot of people. My family was for one. They always pushed me, even though like my brother didn't play football. One of my brothers didn't play football; he played soccer, but he pushed me. Like I was just came from a competitive family overall. I'm the youngest, so they all pushed me. And then I ended up going to aspirations with Chris Vaughn, so he ended up being another impactful person. He pushed me every day, and he pushed me to play or limits that I never knew that I can go. So, he was definitely another one.
Now, speaking of Chris Vaughn at Aspirations, how did you come about deciding to go with him and his staff to get trained?
Me and Chris have been working out since I've been a junior in high school.
Okay.
So he was one of the ones who actually told me that I was I have the build to be a corner than a receiver. So he's probably one of the first people that tell me that. So basically, me and him from my junior year in high school to now was, day in, day out, just working craft and stuff like that. And then I've seen, the products that he's put out there. And then I feel like it was just a no-brainer because why not go with the guy that, knows you the best?
Oh, definitely, for sure. What's some of the hardest things you've had to overcome in your young life?
I know in college, one of the hardest ones was, not a lot of people know this, but my sophomore year of college, I had mono and I played the whole season with mono. So I was losing weight.
That's rough, man, because some
Yeah.
people some people pass away from that stuff tragically.
Yeah. So, but I was just, I just knew that I was dedicated to the game and I didn't want to miss any games. So I still didn't miss any games with it. And I'm not using that as an excuse or anything, but
Right.
it was, but the reason why it was hard because, so just going in the meeting room and, you're fatigued and everything, but you don't want to bring everyone down with you because you're tired because of, the sickness you got. So, just going there every day and, being positive and uplifting, try to bring more energy and stuff like that. I feel like that was probably one of the hardest times out there. Because I was going out there at the beginning of going into my sophomore year, I was 197 pounds, and then I got mono. So I feel like after every day I'm losing weight, and I was 183, and
That's a lot.
I was 183, 182, and towards the 6-7 game of the season.
What's it like being at a university like Kentucky? I'm a Kentucky fan myself. What's it like being at a university like Kentucky that relatively isn't or wasn't known to be a football school up until the last several years? How does it make you feel to know that you were part of the guys that helped continue the ongoing tradition that is being built there with Mark Stoops and his coaching staff?
I feel like it was an honor. You just seen what Kentucky was before, beforehand, and what it is now is completely different. And even when we were there, we still all the things we heard and stuff like that. We heard them, and we just took that and used it as fuel, and then went out there and played games to put us where we are today. So I just feel for me, it was an honor to go out there and be a part of that, that brotherhood and that bond that you have with everybody on the field and stuff like that, to even for the next generation to even keep building on what we started.
Definitely. So if I'm an NFL franchise, why would my team want to draft you?
I feel I'm durable. Not too many people can say that they've never missed a practice. I've gone out and in college and never missed a practice. I'm a hard worker. I'm a competitor. And I'm just gonna go out there. I feel like my freshman is good and ready to go out there and compete with some of the best that's out there. So just all those things around, I'm ready to learn, willing to learn. I'm only 21. I'm young, so just all those things. I feel is my pitching point to you.
No, definitely. Who's the hardest person that you've had to play against in your college days? Which offensive player gave you the biggest fits, if that makes sense?
I would say no.
It doesn't have to be. It don't have to be a receiver. Just any offensive player in general.
Nah, yeah. I feel like Cedric Tillman from Tennessee. He was physical at the line and at the top of the routes and stuff like that. So I feel when me and him were out there and it was just one-on-one on the island, it was just basically a boxing match between me and him. So not to even toot my whole horn, but he only had 4 receptions for 22 yards at the end of the fight. So I feel like I won that one. But yeah.
Hey, if your horn ain't broke, you can go ahead and honk it. That's what I always say. So I want to talk to you about academics. So I'm also looking at here that you made the dean's list in the fall of 2020, and you were first year SEC academic honor roll. How influential or how important? Excuse me, let me rephrase it. How important to you are academics, and how do having good, strong academics help you on the field?
You know, I feel like, you know, how you perform in the classroom, like, and even with your grades and everything,
Yeah.
it's a representation on your field of just
Mm-hmm.
being a smart football player and stuff like that. So I feel like, you know, when I went into college, I wanted to, you know, hold that standard of, you know, having high grades and stuff like that, because I feel like, you know, me having high grades on, you know, in the classroom helped me on the field as well. And like also like a lot of people don't even know this, like, so basically coming to Kentucky, I was the last in the bottom of my recruiting class, and you know, my DB coach didn't know if I was like ready to play, so he told me I was gonna like most likely redshirt. And I feel like, you know, me even juggling school and end up, you know, showing him that I can retain the playbook fast enough, you know,
Yeah.
all works hand in hand.
Oh, for sure, for sure. So I'm looking down here too, man. Like I said, I dug up some stuff. Where's it at? Give me 1 second. So it says here that you only played the defensive back position for 1 year prior to coming to Kentucky. Is that correct?
Yeah. So basically, it was 1 year, one full year. So my
So
senior year is
you played. So what you're saying is, like you were telling me earlier, from your time that you were real young as a kid playing running back, you never played defensive back up until that 1 year.
yeah.
That's a big transition, though, man. Seriously, that's a
Yeah.
totally different mental state that you have to have going from running back to a defensive back. How hard was that for you?
You know, at first, you know, everyone wants to score touchdowns. So, you know, me being the receiver before a corner, um, it was different. So I feel like, you know, just basically transition to your mind that you got to move backwards and everything was a little difficult, but I feel like I
Yeah.
picked up on it pretty fast enough. I feel like I picked up on it pretty fast, and you know, and I was just really hungry to learn it at that point, because I was like, once you figure out how to do one thing, I was like, well, you know, you just get hungrier to learn the next, you know, few
Mhm.
things and keep going with that. So, you know, I just that overall in general is just how I felt about it. And now I love it. So
You don't see yourself playing any other position then, basically what you're saying, huh?
no, no.
So what are you majoring in, man? What are you trying to
Uh,
get your degree in?
Journalism, and then I'm minoring in business. So yeah, those are my two right there. So basically, with my journalism degree, I want to, you know, eventually, you know, be on CBS or something like that, or even start my own podcast and stuff like that. So, it's just as I go or after my playing days,
Mhm.
or even with the podcast, even when I'm playing too. So like just something like that, like a little side hobby.
Now, have you gotten your degree yet, or are you close to graduating?
I'm very close to graduating actually. So I'm I should graduate in December of this coming up year. Yeah.
Good
Or
for
this
you,
year.
man. Good for
So
you.
yeah.
That's awesome, because a lot of players. The reason why I say that's awesome, it's awesome regardless of no matter when you graduate. But that's also
Yeah.
awesome. You don't have to go back, because a lot of players end up going back years later. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool that you can sit there and go ahead and get that done and get it out the way before going into the next level and next step.
Yeah. So basically I'm still in class now. So basically juggling the combine training, and then, with the interviews, and then also with school, I feel like I can manage it. So that's why, I feel like I could, I also want my degree. So I feel like it was the best bet for me.
If you weren't playing football, what would you be doing?
Yeah, I'll probably be on like I probably would want to. I told you, like, start my own podcast, or try to be a sideline reporter or something like that. Something in like that journalism field.
So basically, you'd still be involved with the sport in one way, shape, or fashion.
Yeah, yeah. Like I just don't like, I mean, football. Like it doesn't even have to be football. Like I'm into like
Yeah,
all types of sports. So
sports
like
in
just sports
general,
in general.
basically. Yeah,
Yeah.
Definitely. I got two more questions for you before we end this great conversation.
All right.
How does Carrington Valentine want to be remembered when his time is done on Earth?
Um, Basically someone who gave back, someone who impacted people, someone that you can say like, I want to be like him on and off the field, just the way I carry myself in general. Because I feel like just being a good person overall. Those are like how I want to be remembered. Like someone like when I'm not here, we're like, yo, like he did it the right way. So, just that in general, I feel like has how I want to be remembered. The stats and stuff like that, like, that'd be good, but just an overall, good person.
All right. Last question. Who's your hero and why?
My hero. Um, my parents are probably my heroes. No, my parents are my heroes. Just because, they showed me, what's right from wrong. They showed me how to carry myself. You know, and like they're not, my mom and my dad are totally two different people. So just getting life lessons from both of them throughout my life, and basically they are. I feel like I'm you know I am who they kind of made me to be. Just from the standards and stuff like that that they held with me and stuff like that, and they always support me, and just that in general. I feel like that's why they're my heroes. So yeah.
Carrington, I want to thank you for your time.